Welcome back, YouTube, and as you can see, TeardownTube's video this week will actually be of what I just got in my mail, the Retro Duo. And if you notice that things maybe look a little bit clearer, that's because I upgraded my phone, which I was using to record, to a Galaxy S3, so hopefully this all comes out in 1080p wonderfully. But let's get straight into the device this week. Basically, it's a Retro Duo. It has dual slots for your SNES as well as your NES games. And so I just wanted to do a quick little teardown of this guy. I fired it up. I've used it. It works pretty well, actually. I'm surprised. It is a clone, so it doesn't have 100% compatibility. But from what I've read and my own experiences in using it, it seems to work very well. Basically, you'll notice the two SNES ports on the front here. Interesting thing to note that while it does play NES games, you would need some sort of adapter if you wanted to use the original NES controllers, or you can actually get away with using the SNES controllers to play NES games, simply because they're just shift registers. The NES used an 8-bit shift register for pulling the controller, and the SNES just used a 16-bit one. And so here on the front, you'll notice 8-bit, 16-bit LED indicators, the reset button, nice and clicky, the power switch, 3-position. The center is off. If you push it up, it goes to the NES side. If you pull it down, it goes to the SNES side. The two slots with these little dust flaps, which are actually a pretty nice touch. And you got S-video, composite, audio as well, and your 5-volt input. Interesting thing that is very important, do not plug any random adapter into this. It needs 5 volts because there's actually no internal regulation. So you will very quickly fry this if you actually don't have the right polarity and the right voltage there. But things to note, this is like ridiculously light. It feels like there's absolutely nothing in here. So let's get right into that teardown then. Flip this over. On the bottom, just 4 screws, 1 in each corner, which is actually a very common thing. And my screwdriver isn't quite long enough, so I have to pull the bits out in order to open this guy up. I ended up getting this used because I'm planning on making a sort of NES/SNES in a toaster, so that, like Angry Video Game Nerd has his Nintoaster, I'll have a Super Nintoaster, where each bread slot will actually house each of the games. But I'm working that on the side. I'll post pictures after I get that done. But anywho, basically now it's already starting to come apart on me. I just don't want to lose any screws. Okay, we're all good. And the top just lifts off, but is connected via a ribbon cable, which I will have to remove a single screw to get off. The easiest way is to offset the top case like that, flip it over, then you have access to the screw. Just gotta be careful and pull straight up. And here we go. Top of the case, nice touch. They put little springs for the doors in there. There's really not much to this at all. Now this is the more interesting part. Basically what we have here is this guy is the NES side. This entire board up here is the SNES side. Interesting thing to note, the NES board simply passes through the video, the controller connections and power and whatnot between these two boards via these little ribbon connectors like you'd find in the ID connectors for an old computer. And that's pretty much it. I'm going to actually have a go and pull this entire guy out so that you can see the bottom where all the NES magic happens. Now, interesting thing to know is if you are buying one of these to play NES games, It does a pretty bad job at butchering the audio, and the video could leave quite a bit to be desired. So you're going to actually have to, there is a mod that you can do for the audio and the video signal on the NES side, which will help you out quite a bit. It just requires a single resistor and a single capacitor to be soldered to the underside of this board, which I haven't done yet, but I'll get around to it. Basically, there are two screws holding the cartridge connector. They're the longer screws, and shorter ones near the power jack connector and the video connector right in here, holding that board in. Next, might as well take out 3 screws holding the controller port in. Sorry about all these screws. I'm really hoping this all comes out in 1080p really nicely, because that'll be a huge upgrade for my videos. Because I know I've been having issues with focus, camera focus, and all that, and resolution and whatnot. So this will be awesome. Hopefully, it's looking pretty good right now. Albeit lighting could be a little bit better, but I just decided randomly to start filming today, and I don't really exactly set aside time to do this since I have a busy work schedule and whatnot. Okay, so basically we just had a few screws in the perimeter of the SNES sideboard, and we can actually lift the entire thing out of the bottom casing. It's interesting that they put all these little slots for cooling. It looks almost like when this generates practically no heat. But anyway, so interesting construction on the SNES controllers. These long wire wrap wires extending there that they didn't trim. But yeah, let's see anything else. I actually had to go, as soon as I got this, I opened it up because I bought this as a used product off eBay, and there was a bunch of dirt on it, cat hair, whatnot. So I actually went around and I cleaned everything off very well. But even when I first opened it up, external dirt and hair set aside, there was flux all over the place. So the assembly, I'm sure this is assembled in China, the assembly, they definitely didn't clean this up at all, which they really should have. It was quite messy, in fact. There was flux all over the place, even little balls of solder that, I suppose this was wave soldered. And so it just was pretty messy. I cleaned off all that by hand myself. So let's see what else. The NES connector is a upright loader, which is actually a nice change. If you saw my video on the side loading NES repair that I did with my my one friend, yeah, these side loading units are notorious for bad cart connectors. But this top loader hopefully will last me quite a while, even though it's not a genuine Nintendo top loader, but still not bad. And let's see what else we got. Basically, this actually reminds me a lot of the Superboy that I did a teardown of as well. 3 quad flat pack chips, as well as peripheral memory and whatnot in these little packages here. Most likely they're not. They use very similar components. This is probably just like a run-of-the-mill reverse engineering of the original NES. You'll notice a little clock down in here, and from the looks of it, it's 21.47727 megahertz. Right in there. You'll notice some decoupling caps. Interesting thing, they left out a crystal here. There's some unpopulated components there. Some more over here. Near the reset switch, you'll notice a diode resistor and a cap. And that pretty much is all that's going on there. Interestingly enough, there's a silk screening for a resistor in here that they just simply shorted. No idea why they do that. And there's another crystal back here for the NES side, which is also the same 21.47727 megahertz as well. And I'm more interested in the NES side. which is actually, it's exactly like these Super Joys, the Power Player, Super Joy 3s, whatever's, the Family clones, so to speak, that you can buy online nowadays. Basically, they reverse engineered the original NES and then had a custom ASIC design for them, which would perform the same function. While it's not a 100%, one-to-one copy of the NES, it's decent enough, given some caveats. Obviously, it doesn't have 100% compatibility and whatnot. But I might do a teardown. I actually just bought another Super Joy 3 for dirt cheap off eBay for a portable NES that I'm going to be building. But basically, what I expected, just a epoxy blob over a mysterious unknown chip in there. And that's pretty much it. Everything else is pretty much integrated. Very interesting bodge wire in there. Other than that, very nice touch. They actually labeled video, audio right, audio left, C out, Y out for the S video, ground, 8V8 plus, I'm guessing that's supposed to be, even though I'm pretty sure this all runs off of 5 volts. And here they have the various clocks, player data, and whatnot from the controller port passing through to the NES side. So you can actually split this board, desolder these ribbon connectors, and use them separately if you wanted to. No problem that way. I've seen people do that online. Basically, other than that, very simplistic. I wasn't expecting much, honestly, because I knew that they would have integrated this pretty well for cost savings. But let's see. Oh, there's actually another 24 megahertz crystal right in there. There are 2 crystals on board here. It's actually pretty simple. This will fit nice and small. I mean, if you're into portabilizing game systems, I would suggest, even though it doesn't have 100% compatibility, getting one of these Retro Duos, because of how small you can make it. If you just want the NES side, you can lob this off, and you can actually trim this board down a bit. But even without trimming, it's actually quite small already. And the NES side is ridiculously tiny. It's on par. It's a little bit larger than these Super Joy motherboards, but I believe this has slightly better compatibility. Because not all NOACs, Nintendo's on a chip, or NES on a chip, are built exactly the same. But other than that, very simple. And if you guys don't mind, because I'm only at like 13 minutes here, I've been making my videos somewhat longer, I'll tear apart some old cartridges for your enjoyment. So let's just set this aside. Sort of, yes, maybe so. Kind of want to get it in there a little bit. And I've already opened these cartridges, so I don't have the original screwdriver, but you can actually get away. A trick that I learned is you take a pair of like needle nose or tweezers that have pretty fine tips. Just make sure that you don't care about whether you damage the tweezers or not, and you get them in on either side of the screw. And you might need a pair of pliers to grab it from the side and to twist it, but basically just keep twisting, and it's a makeshift screwdriver. I did this a lot when I was opening up the Game Boy and whatnot. I'm pretty sure I did the same thing. But basically these aren't normal screws, they're security screws, which are really annoying, with little divots on the outside and like a star shape, so you can't use a regular screwdriver to get them open. I've seen people use like pens where they melt the they remove the ink and they melt the tip to remove them and whatnot, but I just said I don't care, and this works just fine. And now we're out. So what is under the hood of NES games? Really not much, honestly. This guy just I believe they're actually labeled. Yep, program ROM chip as well as the character ROM chip. 2 chips right in there. Oh, please don't tell me this camera also can't focus. Oh, wow. Okay, there you go. This camera does a much better job at focusing. You can see PRG and CHR. Come on. There we go. As well as a MBC3 memory controller chip, because that means this uses bank switching in order to access extended memory, essentially. And this guy here is the infamous lockout chip, which if this chip is not present in your cartridge or can't read from properly, then your NES will refuse to play it, very stupidly so. But you'll notice a decoupling cap in there, another one in here, another little ceramic cap right next to the memory controller. And that is it. Very simplistic construction. If you wanted to, you could buy an old game that you didn't care about, remove these chips and reinsert like reprogrammable chips, and essentially write your own games to the cartridge so that you can play it. This would be a good time to take a Q-tip with some isopropyl alcohol and clean these contacts off. But I'll be doing that later. I just wanted to show you guys how these games were, put together. So that's that. And I wanted to show you guys another cartridge. I had to run upstairs and find it. That should interest you guys. It has markedly different construction from this one was the Blue Marlin. So I'll be right back in a sec. Yeah, so these NES cartridges are remarkably varied. I've seen, some of the earlier Gyromites will actually have a Famicom controller or board inside with a NES to Famicom converter, which was kind of weird that they did that, but this one's a little stubborner. And, oh yeah, this guy is a copy of Mario Bros. And Duck Hunt. So I have a light gun actually. I might do a teardown of that on another day as like a video game accessories teardown, because I have a lot of accessories. I'm sure you guys would like to see it. Come on. Yeah, I really should just either replace all the screws or get a screwdriver that'll actually remove these properly. I can't be bothered to. It's extra money that I could spend towards parts. This guy's very interesting once I get this open. Okay. This guy is actually quite a bit smaller, and you'll notice the decoupling caps on the back there. A pretty cool looking trace in here. Let me see if I can focus it. There we go. And no discrete chips. These use the similar epoxy blobs, so to speak. Pretty cool looking pattern on there. Lighting's a little bit meh, but very interesting. Come on. I'll have to play around with this camera and see if I can get it to focus a little bit better. Maybe the lighting's not that great, that's why. But anyway, let's get moving. I got 2 more cartridges I want to show you guys. One is Tetris Attack. Thankfully, the SNES cartridges only usually have 2 screws. I know some of the NES cartridges have 5 screws, some have just the 3, like all the ones I have. But, there we go. These screws, so annoying. I should just go through and replace all of them with Phillips. And likewise, this guy is absolutely tiny, and it's just a single chip this time, as well as the lockout chip once again, and some decoupling caps. This guy's the mask ROM. It's interesting they have silk screening showing that two different size chips for different memory chips which have different capacities. And it's interesting, so I'm guessing that the same board could be used for different games actually, which is actually pretty cool. So likewise, if you wanted to, you could put a socket on this guy and start developing your own games or whatever you wanted to do. And finally, interestingly, another game that I wanted to show you guys. All the rest of the games I've showed you have no battery backup, but one that I will show you next actually does have a game saving ability, and it's being annoying. There. God, I hate these screws. Okay. There we go. And so this is Tecmo Super Bowl. And drum roll. Much larger board, obviously. And more interestingly enough is the other side. There's actually a CR20, looks like a 2032 in there for the SRAM backup. And one of these chips, I can't tell, lighting's not all that good, but one of the chips, probably this one just because of how close it is the holds the game save with the help of the battery. It's a SRAM chip, which is a volatile type of memory. And I suppose then this one would be the lockout chip. And you'll notice 3 chips in here actually, and they're labeled SNES 70-0P0, and this one is the same except for it ends in P1, and this guy is a Mosel MS626-4CLL. And it's interesting because if you actually look on an angle, you can see that indentation. It looks like a one of those, like what do you call it? Ultraviolet erasable EEPROMs, single EEPROM, with a sticker over the window to prevent it from being erased by, just stray light. This actually would be interesting. I'm going to see if I can actually, I don't care for the game all too much. I want to see if I can make a developer's card or something out of this and insert my own flash chips essentially, or even double EEPROM, and see if I can get something going on this guy. But I thought you guys might enjoy the teardown video that I did this week. I just got this in the mail like, I don't know, a month ago or something, and I seem to be on a roll with video game related teardowns, so maybe next week I'll do all my NES/SNES teardowns for the accessories, or maybe I'll even throw in some modern like PS2 accessories, GameCube accessories that I have just lying around in my room anyway. But anywho, that's for next week, so I'll catch you guys later, and we are already up to like 25 minutes, and hopefully the video quality was much better. I'll work out lighting and whatnot later. But, if you guys like the video, like, comment, subscribe, and I shall see you guys later. Peace.